Now, on Thursday, it was reported that a gunman had opened fire at the Capital Gazette in Annapolis, Maryland. Now, the results of that attack was devastating. At least 5 people lost their lives, and several others were injured in what was considered a targeted attack. Turns out the gunman had a long-standing grudge against this particular newspaper outlet after they had published what was freely available information about his charges. So without getting into too much detail, staff at the local paper said the attacker, who was armed with a shotgun and several grenades, shot through the glass door into the newsroom in what has been deemed as the deadliest attack, or one of the deadliest attacks on a U.S. media publication in history. Now, following this attack, Sean King, who was an activist on Twitter, shared what appeared to be a clip of Dana Loesch, who had advocated for violence against journalists. In fact, he said, quote, "She denies it." I'm sorry. He said, "Number one, let me be clear here. The NRA's Dana Loesch has absolutely called for journalists to be beaten to death." And he said that on Twitter alongside of a clip from NRA TV. Now, he says, "She denies it, but the record is clear. It's just that she's so flippant with such violent threats that she has perhaps lost touch with what she has said." Now, what did she say? Well, we've got the video right here. Take a look for yourself.
I said this actually on television not too long ago. I'm happy, just frankly, to see him curb stomped. I mean, let's be real about it, Grant. These people are just the worst thing that could ever possibly happen just to the American political system right now with the way that they cover so many things. For instance, when nobody gets a fair shake on policy. No one gets a fair shake where it concerns immigration. They conflate illegal and legal immigration. They conflate a number of things, particularly the coverage on gun control. I have so many things that I hate about mainstream media. There is no way we are going to fit it in the allotted time today. They are the rat bastards of the earth. They are the boil on the backside of American politics. I have no other nice way to put it.
Well, to be fair, there isn't really a nice way to put that. Yes, we get it. You hate the press. They call them rat bastards of the earth and a boil. Now, what do you do with a boil? Oh, you lance it. So, look, I know. She's like, well, I didn't call for any violence here. I just said that I wouldn't mind if they got curb stomped. All right, look, if you want to use that as hyperbolic language, like, oh, what I meant by that wasn't necessarily violent. No, it was that they got beaten at their own game. Okay, great. Well, look, you could have left it there and it would have been like, okay, look, I get what you're saying, but you are using violent language. But then she goes on to use even more violent language. So, look, she may not be explicitly calling for violence, but it's open for interpretation. And are some people going to interpret it as a call for violence? Yes, I think so. Look, this isn't just a critique on the media, right? You want to critique the media. I critique the media all the time. I tell you, I don't think that they're doing their job correctly. I think they try way too hard to be neutral, which means they bring on a nutbag on one side and they bring on somebody else with facts and they tell you to decide. In fact, they try so hard to be so neutral. And it drives me crazy because there are some things where you just can't be neutral on, and that's of course facts. But she's not complaining about that. No, she says the opposite. Oh, they're fake news. They're so dangerous. And we're so tired of this terrible stuff. I mean, they're rat bastards. And the poor gun people, we never get a fair shake. Ever. No. But here's the thing. Of course, I also have a problem with bias, right? So, look, I have a bias, and I'm very open with that bias. But mainstream establishment media also has a bias, and that bias is establishment. They have an establishment bias, and they tend to defer to people in power. That's my problem. But I don't want to get rid of the press. No, I just want the press to do a better job. I want them to report facts, and I want them to report everything in context. That's it. I want to make the press better. calling the journalists the rat bastards of the earth and saying that they're a boil, which, again, you lance a boil to get rid of it. That is cause for violence. And that is dangerous. It's an incitement. And look, this isn't the first time that she has incited violence against journalists. In a video posted on Twitter by NRA TV back in March, Loesch told every living member of the media that they have, quote, had enough. We've had enough of the lies, the sanctimony, the arrogance, the hatred, really, the pettiness, the fake news. We are done with your agenda to undermine voters, really, will and individual liberty in America. So to every lying member of the media, to every Hollywood phony, to the role model athletes who use their free speech to alter and undermine what our flag represents. Again, this is crazy talk because she doesn't. Anyway, she's willfully ignoring what those protests were about. To the politicians who would rather watch America burn than lose 1 ounce of their own personal power. To the late night posts that think their opinion is the only opinions that matters. To the Joyanne Reeds, the Morning Joes, the Mikas, to those who stain honest reporting with partisanship, to those who bring bias and propaganda to CNN, the Washington Post, and the New York Times, your time is running out. The clock starts now. Your time is running out. Now look, again, she was promoting her crappy show. But consider the way it was framed. Wearing all black, black background, all that stuff. I mean, look, will crazy people get the wrong message and do so? Yes, that's why they're crazy. There are no sane mass shooters. There are no sane terrorists. You have to be insane to go and carry out an attack that actually hurts and kills fellow human beings. Right? So, and there are so many people here in America that And look, we don't have more insane people than, say, other countries like Japan and or the UK. But what we do have is we have a population that is armed, where we have 250 million guns in this country, and not enough mental health care to take care of the people that we do have that have mental issues, that have some sort of issue. So that's a bad combination. And are these people able to be incited to violence? Yes. Very easily. Very easily. And look, it's not just Loesch, by the way. She's not the only problem. She's just the face of the problem, right? Or she's the current face of the problem. Actually, it's now baked into the right wing, their DNA, to attack the press. Now, for example, Milo Yiannopoulos, I didn't do this story, but he said he couldn't wait until armed vigilantes started roaming around and shooting journalists. That's just a couple of days before what happened in Maryland. Look, it's coincidence, sure, maybe. But when you start talking about that, and by the way, he comes out and says, oh, no, I was just trolling. No, you're not trolling. That's dangerous rhetoric. Now, again, they're not the only one. Greg Gianfortney, you guys remember him. He physically body slammed a journalist. He actually did physical harm against journalists. Guess what he's doing now? He's a congressman from Montana. He still got into office, even after body slamming a reporter. Not only that, but you also have Michael Grimm, who thankfully did not win his primary. He threatened to break a journalist in half, like a boy. You also have that kind of rhetoric coming from the President of the United States himself, who says that journalists are the enemy of the people. The enemy. This isn't isolated. This is a pattern. It's a pattern. And you know why? It's because authoritarians hate the free press. And of course, they often either incite or employ violence to people, to members of the press that call them out. That's the problem. For example, we've all seen Trump supporters advocate for the deaths of journalists. For example, there were shirts where people during the election that said rope tree journalist, some assembly required. Again, that's part of the pattern. And the threats have even gotten specific. Within hours of Thursday's murders, BuzzFeed writer Ann Helen Peterson tweeted out that she was threatened. Quote, I've had people email death threats, threaten to cut my dog's throat, and tell me I'd pay for my fake news. You don't think that has anything to do with the rhetoric against the press, thanks to the president, thanks to the right wing? Imagine if a left-winger did that to a right-wing politician. Everybody's hair would be on fire. Oh my God, how dare you send death threats to a right-winger? And by the way, don't. We're not like them. We're better than they are. But that's what's going on here. And it just gets excused. Look, not only that, the New Yorker wrote about a reporter for the hometown paper in Grand Junction, Colorado. Now, the reporter had covered a 2016 Trump rally and saw her fellow citizens screaming out-of-town reporters saying, hang them all, electric chair. You think this is not a pattern of violence? You think that these people are just kidding? You think they're all just trolling? Saying, oh, no, yeah, that whole thing about hanging journalists? Oh, no, that was just trolling you, bro. No, I didn't mean that. No, they do mean it. They do mean it. Look, there's even John Ederle, a good friend of mine, host of The Damage Report on the TYT Network. He's been getting his own death threats since Thursday. I'm pretty sure I'll get some too. If not, if I haven't already. Look, the whole point is it's dangerous to be a journalist because of the threats and the rhetoric like this. Power does not like to be challenged. And when you challenge power, especially right-wing power, that's when the violence comes out. That's when the threats come out. And living in a country where there are so many guns and inadequate mental health care to boot, and a president and a party that stokes hatred against the free press is scary at best. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.